Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Bleav in Hawks episode. It's been about a week. Been a week since I did the last episode. My life's been kind of busy. First with political stuff because I work in news and people don't know. So I've been busy with that. And also NCAA 14. I'm about to say 14. That's retired now. NCAA 25. College 25. I've been playing that a lot recently. So hey, if you're playing a game, list your team down below. But nah, for real. I've been busy, guy, but I'm back. Obviously, we got some stuff to talk about. Hawks have gone through Summer League. They just finished up this past weekend. Dyson Daniels has been playing for the Australian national team. He's been really, really good. I'm going to talk about that. And we're also going to touch on some notes that, not really too much going on right now with the Hawks as we're entering that dead portion of the NBA season or off season. So we're going to talk about all that today on Bleav in Hawks. Obviously, don't forget to listen to us on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, listen to audio, go ahead, leave a rating and review. All love and feedback is appreciated. Appreciate you guys for tuning in for another episode. So we're going to start first with Dyson. We're going to start first with Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels, man, has really been making an impression on a lot of Hawks fans from what they've seen playing with the Australian national team. I mean, obviously, he's a guy first making the team. Obviously, he's an accomplishment because there's NBA guys who have tried to make the team and didn't make the team. Dyson made the team, so that shows you how they view him. He's playing with guys like Josh Giddey and them on the team. And, this was honestly perfect, I think, for Hawks fans. Being able to see a guy you just acquired in a trade, a big trade for DeJounte, and knowing, hey, we won't know what we have with him here in Atlanta until he gets on the floor. And there's still questions we're going to have just because he's not playing with the team yet. But what you've seen from him in the Australia playing in the lead up to the Olympics, because he'll be in the Olympics, and they've been doing expedition games. Dyson has kind of showed you what you're going to see and what you should expect from him when he comes to the Hawks and is able to play with the team. Obviously, we knew about him defensively, especially if you want to watch some defensive work, watch the USA game. Obviously, that's the game I'll always point out because they're going to say, well, he's going against star players. He's going against the best players we have, and he was able to hold his own out there. He showed that he belonged in that group, and that's obviously what you would expect from an NBA player, but in his situation against some of the top players that the USA is putting out there, like Steph Curry and them, that's obviously really good to see what he's been doing. He just came off a game winner the other night. I Bleav it was against France. He hit a game-winning shot to win the game for the Australian national team in that game. I mean, he was active. I Bleav he had 5 steals that game. He hit a couple of threes, had a couple of assists as well, 14 points, I Bleav. He was all over the place. I mean, Dyson Daniels, his role with the Australian national team is energy, take open shots, because he hasn't taken a lot of threes. He hasn't taken a high value. He's not a volume shooter. He will not be taking 15, 20 shots. That's not his role. That's not what he is. That's not his game. But he'll get you maybe 5 to 8 shots. And as long as he's shooting a good percentage on that, getting you 10, 12 points, I think a lot of people would be happy and satisfied with that. But really, it's just been his impact on both ends of the ball. He seems like, from a shot perspective, his shot looks good. Again, in New Orleans, it was a very crowded backcourt. That impacted his playing time from time to time, but you knew about what he brought defensively. That's something that is a lunch pail thing for him. That is him. It's just, I think a lot of people were interested in his offensive game. And you've seen some good things from him during the expedition games for Australia that have given you some encouragement, because a lot of Hawks fans are thinking, okay, he's doing this with the Australian team, like Patty Mills and them. What is he going to do when he gets with Trae Young? And obviously, people are debating if he's going to start and if he's not going to start. That's obviously a question. If you think Dyson Daniels should or shouldn't start, drop your comments down below. But really, it's one of those things where you can kind of see his role with the team through what you're watching if you've been paying attention. You can see, okay, point of attack, check. He can pass a little bit, check. He had like 5 steals last game. That's something again, that was one thing DeJounte did do well when he was here. He was able to create turnovers. And if he's able to create turnovers, That's a really important skill for the Hawks, especially with what I think they have so much potential in their fast break game to do that. So him being able to create those turnovers is a really big deal to me. And so what you've seen as you've watched these games, you've just seen him compete, play well, and I think has gotten some Hawks fans excited because, again, one thing about this coaching staff, you are a developing coaching staff. You coach, you want players to improve. They like Dyson. That's why they wanted him in the trade with the Pelicans. They believe Dyson probably can be better than what we've already seen in New Orleans here in Atlanta. And it seems like he is headed, even though we won't know till opening day, he is headed towards a bigger role. He is headed towards a bigger opportunity with the squad. And so I think if you were watching this to kind of see what kind of player he was, like I said, you were just really trying to see, okay, can he shoot the ball? Is that something that we need to be worried about? Like I said, he's not going to be a high volume shooter, but he seems like he can knock it down. And then everything that he's already been said that he's bringing with him from New Orleans, we've seen as well. So really wanted to touch on that first because I just really wanted to give Dyson that love because he's done really good things. Like I said, he's not flashy, nothing crazy, just a solid basketball player. And I'm excited to really see his role in his fit in Atlanta when the team gets together for camp, and then we'll see going into the season how that ends up. And coming out of that, I just want to touch on this now. A lot of discourse has been who's going to start at the 2. Obviously, Dyson is very much involved in that discussion. He is a candidate. Bogey is a candidate. Richaun is a candidate. Those are the 3 people that you'll see people say should start besides Trae Young, which I think in this type of situation, it's actually a good problem to have. It's good that you can sit here and say, we have 3 guys who legitimately could be NBA starters and play next to Trae Young. I think that's something that is key, in that situation. Because, like, here's the thing. When you look at those 3 options, right? Let's just think about Bogey. With Bogey, we've made an Eastern Conference Finals with Bogey in the backcourt. That's why, even though it looks on paper like, oh, that's a really bad defensive like match, the Hawks have had a lot of success with that backcourt. And Trae and Bogey's game plays off each other really, really well. Just because of the elite passing that he has, Bogey's elite shooting, it works. It's just a very easy and smooth game to work together. Especially now with the Quinn offensive sets they run, it just helps amplify that even more. So I think just by that, it makes him a good option. But I can understand if you're a Hawks fan, after going what we went through defensively the last 2 years, you kind of don't want that, right? So then you get into Dyson, right? And now I've talked about it earlier. Defensively, you're getting a defender. Like, that will be shored up. He will probably guard the best guard they have, right? So, or wing, whatever the game is, the team they're playing, the matchups, everything. So defensively, that is a very good reason for him to go ahead and be the guy. But then also, his big concern, obviously, like I've said, is his shooting. Are you going to be able to get enough out of him offensively so it's not like Trae Young's the only guy in the backcourt who can shoot? Because listen, at the NBA level, if you've watched Dyson Daniels, teams will leave him wide open at the 3-point line because they don't believe he can hit it consistently. And so that can hurt spacing a little bit. With Bogey, there's a lot of really good spacing because you have to stay on him. He can beat you from 3. So the spacing will be much better with Bogey on the floor. Dyson, there will be some concerns, and that also could be contributing to who's going to start at center. If you have Dyson and Clint, spacing probably won't be really good, which I know that's one thing Quinn wants is spacing. You would probably have to go with a Kongu in that situation to have spacing. But, but at the same time, you are probably improving yourself defensively. If let's say hypothetically they did go with a Kongu. 2 through 5, Dyson, let's say DeAndre Hunter's the starter still, Jalen Johnson and Kongu. You can switch 2 through 5 for the most part. You pretty much defensively, you're a much better team. The Hawks should not be getting destroyed defensively with that on the floor. And as long as Trae puts an effort on his end, defense should be fine. So, there are some plus and minuses to Dyson's being the 2, but could definitely work. And then obviously Richaun. Richaun is a shooter. So again, probably a really good match. I know, even though he didn't play a lot in Summer League, which I'll get into. You see his shot. You see he has a good stroke. And you see, he has some ability to create a little bit. Obviously, there's things he's growing into, obviously, kind of growing into his body, things like that. But you could see that fit with him and Trae and say, okay, Trae really might help this guy really take his level and game up another notch because of just the opportunities that he's going to get because of the gravity that Trae has and teams putting. Because remember, teams double team Trae. So having a guy, Rishi Shea, can take advantage of that. So, and a guy who, again, defensively, he's like 6'8", 6'9". We keep saying 6'9", 6'10", whatever. We see 6'8" to 6'10", right? At your 2-guard spot, you should be better defensively. Now, skinnier guy, like I said, but you got length. So that also could be a really good fit. You can maybe say he's the best overall fit. His thing is experience. He just doesn't have a lot of experience in this, obviously, in the league. He just got into the league. He only played a couple of games in the summer league. So those are the 3 options that the Hawks are weighing right now at that 2-guard spot. And I wonder if, depending on any other moves they make for the rest of the offseason, how if that move happens or any move happens, impacts the backcourt and who they decide to start back there. Because they have a viable 3 options that they can go with that I think Quinn could be comfortable with. But at the same time, Rishi Shea could be a 3 to them. So they're going to and only use him as a 2 in emergency situations or in certain situations, right? Bogey, they may want to keep on the bench because of his offensive firepower that he can bring from the bench. Dyson, again, they may be concerned about spacing. And do we think he'll be good enough as of an offensive threat to make that work and not still have teams just completely trap Trae? Like I said, these are all questions the Hawks have to ask, and we'll have to see. And like I asked before, like I said, who do you think the Hawks should go with at the 2-guard spot? Who do you think would be a better fit with this lineup right now? So we also now have to get into the Summer League. Summer League has ended, and it was not what people thought the Summer League would be for the Atlanta Hawks. Hawks go winless in the Summer League, not winning a single game, which it's the Summer League, guys, so I'm not going to take too much from that, right? Some people will, I'm not. But, the big thing that came out of it was injuries. A lot of guys got hurt. Rishi Shea had an injury, sat out the rest of the Summer League. Wallace got hurt for a little bit. Joyner got hurt for a little bit. Nikola, hated for him, broke his foot. So that will make his decision if the Hawks are going to give him a 2-way interesting. They might stash him now because of that, depending on how bad it is and how long he's going to be out. Gay had an injury to, pretty much a lot of guys were hurt during the Summer League. Kobe got hurt before the Summer League even started, which I know gave a bad taste in Atlanta Hawks fans' mouth because we just came off a season where injuries were a big part of why we did not maybe reach the expectations that we wanted. I think the main takeaways for me are, I think we got some good young players that I think we can be excited about. And I also Bleav, like I said, I was happy for Wallace getting the 2-way deal. And the Hawks have a decision to make with that last 2-way contract. Nikola is in the running. I think Miles is in the running. He had a good showing in Summer League. Could they go with somebody else outside of the Summer League team? That's an interesting decision they have to make. Because like I said, the thing is that the guys who did play, there are some guys who showed some flashes, that showed some good things, and there's guys that they're probably going to continue to develop. And obviously, this is the time for any of these guys. Not even though we're talking about for the Hawks specifically, these guys could go somewhere else. They could go in another opportunity. The Hawks can't bring back Jalen Windler for people who are asking. According to Brad Rowland, Hawks are not eligible to give him another 2-way deal. So Windler will, I hope, gets on another roster and continues his development in this league. But overall, the Hawks, like I said, got to make a tough decision in that regard. Who's going to take that last 2-way from what you've seen? I don't know if you guys have an opinion on who you think the Hawks should maybe go with that last two-way contract. Obviously, the two-way players they have right now are Wallace and Lundy. So they have one more left to give if they feel like anybody on the team is worth maybe potentially putting that deal for them. But overall, I mean, like I said, Summer League wasn't what a lot of people wanted it to be. I think a lot of Hawks fans were excited about it, and it didn't end up or turn out being what we wanted. That sucked, of course. That absolutely sucks that it did not turn out the way we wanted it. I mean, there was a lot of excitement behind it. And for all the injuries to happen, kind of leave Summer League with a bad taste in your mouth if you're a Hawks fan. And so we'll have to see. Luckily, a lot of these guys should be ready to go by training camp. The only person, like I said, who may not is like Nikola, but it's fine. And then one thing about Ricochet, people forget Ricochet really, he's played basketball the longest out of anybody. He just stopped playing maybe a month and a half ago. Like people forget when the Hawks got the first pick, Ricochet was still playing. Most college guys are done by like March. And if you're in the national championship game, early April, mid-April, right? So he, I think that's something that maybe when he got the quad, and it's Summer League, you don't have that many games anyway. So it's not like you have, he can be back in 2 weeks and play. Like you're pretty much going to play for a week and a half, maybe 2. And then that's it. So I'm sure they just didn't want to, he's the first pick, hurt or ruin their valuable possession that they made in that pick. So, for the Hawks right now, I think, get everybody healthy, get everybody ready for camp, and let's see what happens. That's how I feel about it, realistically, and everything like that. So those are my thoughts on Summer League. Like I said, there's some guys who look good. Be interested to see who the Hawks give a two-way. And, sucks you didn't win a game. Well, obviously, you want to win a game. I mean, but, it is what it is. So, but now we got that out the way. Let's get into some Hawks, just news and tips or whatever. So let's talk about Trae Young, Jalen Johnson linked up. Trae and Jalen have linked up this offseason. I know a lot of people are ecstatic about that. Trae Young making his way out to the Summer League was the first time we saw him this offseason around Hawks-related stuff. Seemed like he seems pretty committed to me. I don't know what you guys think. He seems pretty committed to me. Jalen was obviously, out there. They linked up, worked out earlier last week. And just, I think a lot of people were excited about it because, again, it seems like from the way this team is constructed right now, that those are your stars. That's your duo. That is the two guys that you have designated we think can get us to a certain level. And so it's really good to see it because I know a lot of people were, especially with Trae, they were like, well, Trae ain't saying nothing about the Hawks outside of some of his podcast stuff, but he ain't saying nothing about the Hawks. He hasn't linked up with any players. He's kind of, doing his own thing. Now he's made it to a Summer League game. He linked up with Jalen Johnson. He seems a little bit more active around the team. And really, listen, both of them have been putting in work. You've seen tons of Trae Young workout videos. We've seen a lot of Jalen Johnson workout videos. Both of those guys have put in work, especially Jalen, because Jalen knows he probably has to take another step this coming season. And he's been putting in work with Chris Johnson, one of like a guy who trains a lot of NBA players. You can see it on his YouTube. Jalen Johnson working out, putting in work, all that. And so I think a lot of people, like I said, just really got charged up over it because, again, you're seeing really good chemistry. Because here's the thing. Some people question DJ and Trae's relationship. Do they like each other? Did the relationship deteriorate playing together? Things like that. As far as we know with Jalen Johnson, Trae loves playing with him. They seem to be they seem to be pretty cool with each other. I mean, obviously, when your teammate links up with you, that clearly tells you that you guys are locked in. So, and that's important because you need them to be locked in going into the season. And, I think that is going to make people really excited because there's high expectations. We know what Trae Young brings to the table. We know what Trae Young can do. We know he can give you 25, 30 a night, 10 assists a night. We know that. Jalen Johnson is the guy that everybody's going to be looking at, circling. What is he going to be this year? We saw the growth last year. If he could stay healthy, Jalen Johnson, what is that level for him? And now that you have, I think, the right combination of Trae Young guard, Jalen Johnson wing, they can play off of each other. Their games can fit and play off of each other, and that can help them become better players. You may see the Hawks this year do some two-man sets, some two-man things with Jalen and Trae, kind of put people in the action where both of them can hurt you. And I think that's something they definitely should explore. I think Quinn should definitely look into, because some teams will do that where they'll be like, all right, because we have the duo we have, let's play off of each other and see if we can get a good shot out of this. And that may be something you see. I expect a lot of lobs to Jalen. I expect him in pick and roll, and I expect him hitting threes. And also, listen, with Jalen's passing ability, could Trae potentially do some off-ball stuff and Jalen take advantage of that and help Trae get some really good looks? So those are all things that I think are on the table and make you excited about what this duo can be, because we're focused on Jalen, which we should be, and what he can be. But also, what can this duo give us? Because they're going to be the main two really pushing this team and see how far we can go this season. And Trae Young has been in this situation, and he can give wisdom and advice to Jalen and talk to him about, okay, you're the number 2 guy now, so this is what we need, or what I need from you, so we can continue to grow this thing and get this where we want to go, which is winning basketball games. And obviously, like I said, Jalen Johnson staying healthy is probably the biggest key in this situation. So, I think, that was a really good, like I said, very pleasant sight for a lot of Hawks fans to see those two get together and see those two, really just, like I said, show good relationship, show connection, show connectivity with each other as they continue to go into this offseason, as training camp in a couple of months grows near, and then they got to report back to Atlanta. And like I said, we'll see what this looks like with them as the 2 main guys under Quinn's vision of this team, and see what happens when the season kicks off. Now I want to get to my last topic before I go. Just a quick mention. Clint Capela. Apparently rumor is that Clint Capela has been someone that the New York Knicks have looked into. I don't remember the reporter's name, but he covers Knicks content. He said that they have called the Atlanta Hawks to check in. Nothing imminent, nothing crazy. No, he said, I don't know if any offers were made, but they've checked in. Obviously, the Knicks are going through a bit of a difference with their center position, with Hartenstein leaving this offseason. So Clint Capela, again, a guy who's on an expiring contract that could be enticing for teams that need maybe another big. Hawks willing to take calls for Clint Capela. A lot of people thought Clint Capela was going to be traded already. Has not been traded yet. People are wondering, is Clint Capela going to be on my roster day one? That is the number one question, Hawks fans. Do I have to experience another season with Clint Capela? Hawks obviously have a big decision coming up with Bruno Fernando. They pushed it back to August. August is around the corner. I think in the next week or two, we will know if Bruno Fernando will be an Atlanta Hawk. I don't think they'll push it back anymore. I think the Hawks did this because they knew they were still taking some calls and filling some things out. So we'll see if they make any moves before that deadline with Bruno. Because then they have to decide from that, okay, well, then who do we go with? Who do we like? Who do we want in our front court, which is kind of log jam with Cody Zeller, Kongwu, Clint, Larry Nance, Muhammad Gay. You can't have everybody on the roster. So I think Bruno's the guy that they have to decide. Do they move? Does someone get waived? Is Cody Zeller a waive candidate? I know some people are just like, why do we have Cody Zeller on this roster? Why didn't we throw him into that trade, even though it was to make money work for the trade to go through? So I think that will be the interesting thing here with that coming up, is if, maybe that is a call that Knicks maybe call the Hawks back again at some point in the future to see if that is a potential move that they can make, and a move that they, again, trying to figure out their center position, maybe can give the Hawks a couple of picks, because again, we don't know what the Hawks may want for Clint Capela, but maybe that's a potential ideal fit for two teams, potentially, if that's a route they want to go. Like I said, we don't know who the Hawks have talked to that much about Clint Capela. And so we'll have to continue to wait on that and see. But that's all I got for you guys today. I appreciate you guys tuning in for another Bleav in Hawks episode. Like I said, we're entering the dry part of the off season, so we'll see how many episodes we're going to continue to get. Obviously, any news that breaks or anything that happens, I will get it to you as quickly as I possibly can. Like I said, guys, go ahead, hit that subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. We're 29 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers, so hit it. Help your boy hit 1,000. Listen to this audio. Definitely share this with your friends. Like the video, rate the video, give it 5 stars so we can get more Hawks fans' eyes on the product, on the #1 podcast in the community. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. But that's all I got for you guys. I'm Bryce Lewis. See you next time.